Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. This is Melih from ICAM. We are here today for our Global Islamic FinTech Talks. Faraz Adam is our guest. Let me just make a short introduction about ICAM. ICAM is an Islamic Economics Research Center in Turkey, in Istanbul. It's part of ILKA Foundation, and ILKA Foundation is a think tank here focusing on Islamic issues, social issues, and political and economical issues here. And we are a think tank, and this research center is just focused on Islamic economics. We are publishing research papers, we are making such meetings, and we have a publication and book publication, which is called İktisat Yayınları. It's economics publishing. And we are mainly focusing on academical research, but we have also some webinars, some meetings, some discussions on practical side of Islamic economics, such as this. And today our guest is Faraz Adam, Mr. Faraz Adam, Mufti Faraz Adam. I'm very thankful that he is with us. He is very busy, but he has accepted our invitation. Actually, he is a prominent Islamic fintech professional, and he's also a Mufti and Sharia compliance officer. Most of you that are focusing on Islamic finance or Islamic fintech, I think you probably have heard about Mr. Faraz Adam. Today we will gonna discuss about digital assets and tokenization. Faraz Adam is representing here the Facet Islamic. I will just I want to give the floor to Mr. Faraz Adam, and he has no presentation. He will not present, so this is a kind of discussion. I have some questions, and from we can accept also questions from the audience, so it will an interactive discussion. If you have some questions on digital assets and Sharia compliance of digital assets and tokenization, you can easily ask from Twitter and YouTube channels. So the floor is, thank you again for accepting our invitation.
No, Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, dear doctor. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you. As a doctor kindly introduced myself, I'm part of Facet Islamic as a director of Facet Islamic, as well as being a Sharia advisor. What is Facet? Just in 1-2 sentences, Facet is an all-in-one financial super app, right, which allows people to manage and earn and grow their digital assets and their wealth. That's what it is, right? It's a platform that allows you, anyone from anywhere in the world, to really grow their wealth and invest. And its focus is on digital assets, right, and tokenization. And so it's a privilege for me to be there and to be in the actual midst, right? One is writing theory and writing research, but one is being in the midst of the activity, where you not only get to understand, but you get to see the practice of what's actually happening, right? And that's the benefit that I have whilst being a Facet.
Great. You are providing Web3 solutions, as I understand. You are providing also an exchange as well.
Right.
Yeah, I want to start with the Sharia compliance of digital assets. It's considered from many scholars and from many Sharia boards, from Islamic banks and other financial institutions, the Bitcoin and the other digital assets like Ethereum and other variants of digital assets and tokens. And the boards mainly don't accept this as from the perspective of Sharia. So, but your approach is a bit different. You have a very smooth and very deep research on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. How do you assess this issues? What's your approach on digital assets in terms of Sharia?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Look, there's a lot of debate. There's been a lot of research done, and there's very honorable senior scholars who view that it's not permissible. And we respect the opinion of this. They're very well intentioned and also very knowledgeable. Just that my personal research and review and continuous engagement with this field, I've kind of analyzed it from 2 different angles. One is the essence. What is it from its intrinsic essence, right? Second is external. So whenever I see a research or debate, I realize that people are either saying it's problematic or prohibited because of extrinsic external reasons. For example, governance, privacy, right? volatility, these types of issues.
Yeah.
Very few people are actually discussing and debating its essence, from its essence. Because if something's wrong with the essence, then no matter what of the external extrinsic issues, it can never be Sharia compliant. So like alcohol, right? Its essence is problematic, right? So that's why
Yeah.
we'll say it's not a Sharia compliant asset, because itself, within itself, is a problem. But if it's a drink, which is not alcohol, but there's some other harm, it's not extrinsically or intrinsically problematic. There's something external. Maybe it's not good, or there's some kind of marketing of it. It's not very good, right? From a marketing angle, this is an extrinsic matter. So when you come to digital assets,
Yeah.
I've analyzed it from both angles. That there are some aspects and elements which scholars have said it's problematic because of an extrinsic external reason, right? Like the governance matter and these things, regulation, for instance, right? Some scholars have said because it's not regulated and approved by the regulator of any country, right, or in their particular country, they'll say we can't engage with that. That's a fair understanding, because in their jurisdiction they'll follow the regulation. But then what about the issue intrinsically? If the regulator approved of it, from a Sharia perspective, then how do we understand the digital asset itself? Now, for me, the way I look at it, Sharia, when we look at the Sharia texts and the classical fiqh literature on this, what the scholars and the fuqaha and the ulama were concerned with was wherever you buy and sell, right? When you buy and sell, you're in an exchange, right? It's an exchange. Two parties are coming together to swap what they have to fulfill each other's needs. Sharia tells us whenever you exchange, you must give value to gain value. Right? It's a value exchange. So the thing that you are transferring to the counterparty must be valuable. What does it mean to be valuable? Intrinsically, it must have utility. It must be beneficial intrinsically.
Yes.
If it has no benefit at all, you're not transferring any value. So when I go back to this idea, for me, digital assets do have a valid, genuine utility. I'm not talking about every crypto out there, because there's 20,000 crypto. Many of them are, I think, is a casino, right? Not permissible. The technology itself has the power to transfer value and to be of benefit, right? We can't, when we're looking at the digital world and the Web3 world, what we can't do is do qiyas. In Arabic we say called qiyas, right? Like we can't draw an analogy on the physical world. The digital world is separate. It's a different world, right? And the physical world is separate. We have to make principles for the digital world and understand it from that lens, right? Because it's very different. So for example, we're talking here, you're in Istanbul, I'm in the UK, right? But if we were to if we were to use the same principles as the real world, then what's going on here, right? So we have to understand the digital world from the digital world itself. So coming back to the discussion, when we look at it, it's all about transferring value and having utility. So there are digital assets which actually do have a utility. You can use them to create apps like Ethereum, right? You can
Yes.
use that for decentralized applications and smart contracts. There's other Solana and other digital assets. They can be used. Pax Gold, for instance, is tokenization of gold. Bitcoin, it's about payment, right? That's the utility it gives you. So as long as there's a valid utility and a recognized utility amongst people, then I find it difficult to say that it's not Sharia, it's problematic, right? I find it difficult to say it's not halal. It's because it's all about utility. The mu'amalat, the asal and the foundational basis in mu'amalat is al-hil, al-ibaha, right? It's
Yes.
permissibility, because
Yes.
mu'amalat is there, transactions and commerce in Sharia is there to fulfill our worldly needs. People, let them transact and trade without too many restrictions. Let them fulfill their worldly needs. So to say something is prohibited, you have to have a very strong evidence and reason. And so that's where I feel that it's very to say it's not permissible or is problematic, I find it difficult, that argument, to justify.
Yeah. You mentioned about, yeah, you're right. It's Ibaha as also, we are also using this in Majalla as well. It's in fiqh principle. So, but as you said, many Sharia boards are looking just for non permission side. Is it related every time with this regulation? What do you think? And mainly as I research about all the state backed Sharia boards, the state backed, and the Sharia boards of the states are looking from the regulation side. They're saying that these crypto assets are not regulated by government. So is it the regulation problem here, or are we so restricted by government in such halal and not halal issues in terms
Yeah,
of
I think the regulators are worried about the risk it poses to consumers, right? There's a genuine worry there. But then if you look at other kind of jurisdictions and regulators, for example, the Malaysian regulator, the UAE regulator, they've taken a very pragmatic, even the UK regulator. They want to adopt this technology, but create a safe space, right? So, like in Malaysia, they were very early, like in I think 2020, when from the regulator there was approval from the Sharia Advisory Council of the Securities Commission on Bitcoin being Sharia compliant, and they gave guidelines that look, this is how you transact and trade, and this is what it is. So there's that approach as well, a more pragmatic approach. The honest truth is, when it comes to technology, right? That's why I've written a research online about the idea of a Sharia sandbox, right?
Yeah,
So
I heard you right. Yes.
yeah, so it's quite, until we don't test something, and you're being an expert in fintech as well and engaging in fintech technology, like even AI, artificial intelligence that we have, to dismiss it straight away can prevent us from benefiting from the innovation, right? Perhaps we need to engage with something, understand how it works, let it operate, and then we create a framework on how to govern it properly, right? But if we were to say something is impermissible straight away, then perhaps we are restricting benefit to our community and to the people from particular opportunities.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, your Sharia sandbox approach is a very good approach for this. I'm not sure that if it's an application in any government or any Islamic bank, but the approach, it's kind of regulatory sandbox actually, and it's very good approach. Maybe institutions should have implement this approach in their process, so that they can test and make innovation in terms of these assets. So this can also be an obstacle for innovation as well. If you don't, as you said, if you don't look at from the Ibaha perspective, and
That's right.
it can be obstacle for innovation and for making good things for Islamic finance, for Islamic economics as well. So, from your perspective, how do you assess this digital assets in terms of Sharia compliance, and how do you suggest for Sharia boards or for people, for the public, how can we look to the digital assets if it's halal or not? Yeah, I know you have some research, but maybe you can summarize your research, that your principles in terms of your evaluation of digital assets.
Yeah, so I have like three bullet point check, basically, right? There's three tests. The first one is the blockchain itself. Blockchain being a ledger, a digital ledger, and the token is used on that ledger. What is that ledger actually recording? What data is it recording? What is it supporting, right? So it's very basic. If a blockchain is designed to record the data of alcohol transactions, or it's a lending, it's there to support interest-based lending and record interest-based transactions, for instance, or it's there to support gambling activity. That's the blockchain is recording these types of things, or it's powering that kind of activity. Then, of course, it'll not be Sharia compliant, right? So that's the first test. Now, what is a blockchain doing? When you have blockchains which are simply there for allowing you to keep a record or use smart contracts or for governance purposes or these types of things, it's all okay, right? Or simple software and technology, no problem. And there are many like that. So that's the first test. The second test is the token that you're buying. What's the utility of the token? What type of token is it, right? Is it uh, um, a payment token? Is it a security token? Is it a governance token? A utility token? What's the utility of that token? Like, what benefit does it give you? Because some tokens can be used to give you access to services, right?
Yeah.
There'll be other tokens which are purely governance tokens, and they give you voting rights. There'll be security tokens, where those tokens are acting like either equity or like asset backed tokens, right? Where they are actually representing ownership of an asset. So it all then depends on the utility. What's the benefit of this particular token? As long as the utility is halal, then it's okay to buy that. That's a second test. Then the third test is the token, what I call the token type, which means that the token shouldn't be like a meme token. You know, like somebody makes a token at home, it's in a shape of a dog or something, and everybody's buying it on Twitter and everybody's talking about it and saying it's good, it's good, it's good, right? And the price goes up because of hype, and then it drops all of a sudden, right? That kind of stuff is not really got value in and of itself. It's just a meme, right? So meme tokens. Then you have like liquid staking derivative tokens, right? There's different types of tokens where in and of themselves they're like derivative type transactions. They've just been created to represent collateral when you're staking. If you're involved in a staking pool, the staking pool would give you the mint tokens as your receipt of your stake. And then these tokens, these new tokens that you have, can be staked again. And it's like almost like an ever ending. So that's also, I have a concern on those types of activities, right?
Yeah.
But these are the types of things that I look at. Also, a pure payment token. There's many tokens that have been issued by hundreds of different crypto, and they call themselves the next currency or the next payment or the next medium of exchange, the next gold, the next this, the next that. To be honest, they haven't served as a medium of exchange at all. They're only being speculated and traded on the crypto markets. Even that, from a Sharia perspective, it doesn't match the understanding of being a medium of exchange, right? Because it's only being betted on and traded on the exchange, but it's not a medium between two different assets, right? So it can't be a medium of exchange if it's not facilitating exchange between two different things. Because when money was created, right? When money was created, the idea was you have two goods and money came as a means between these two goods, right? So somebody had leather, somebody had an animal, right? Instead of finding somebody who wants your leather, right, and you want an animal, you simply just gave money, and that solved the problem. That's in economics they call this a coincidence of wants, right? That's an economic term that they use for this problem. So money came there. So I don't find that the crypto solves this issue.
Yeah. And you are looking from the positive sides of it, and but as I understand, you have three principles in terms of technology, gambling, lending, and the utility and the type of tokens. But it's not easy to assess for public this kind of issues, especially for micro investors. So is there any halal crypto asset index, or as you know, many exchange have some Islamic indexes, as you know,
Yeah,
and in Turkey we have a participation index, and
yeah,
for stocks which are halal or not, we can assess these assets, these stocks in terms of these index principles. So I know that you have some research on Sharia Review Bureau, but is there any? Is it a need? I'm not sure, but is it a need? It can also help people to focus on crypto as well. If you provide such an halal index on cryptos, it can let people to invest easily, maybe. But what do you think about it? Is there any, or should be any halal index of crypto? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a very good question. Um, I like what we're doing at Facet. So at Facet, we're very specific and selective on the digital assets that are listed on Facet, right? Because we feel 100% confident, we're very sure, or 99% confident that these are, value adding. They'll be beneficial, right? And that's our main focus. That digital assets should add value to people. It's not just about speculating or gambling or making $5 more tomorrow. No, in the long term, it's really these digital assets add a real world benefit, have some real value, and they'll give you some real utility. That's the focus. So I would just say what we have on Facet, that's a very good start in terms of like an index to say, look, you're pretty safe here, right, with these digital assets so far.
Okay, then we can say that the assets that you are providing in Facets are they have these assets have been evaluated by your side, and these are fully compliant. We can understand this, right? And do you provide also such liquidity farming or staking? What do you think about it? And it's not just the token. It's not just the token itself, the crypto itself. And there are, as you mentioned, there are also a lot of yield methods like liquidity farming, staking, and the staking it differs from exchange, and it can be a pool, it can be just proof of stake yields. And how do you assess such things? And can we also get some services from Facet in terms of yielding?
Yeah. So staking is also a service. I mean, the word staking was used in different ways in the industry. Sometimes the word staking is used for purely validating the proof of stake, which is a proper staking, right? That you're participating in a proof of stake consensus to validate transactions and you're earning a yield or reward, right? You can do that solo staking, or you can have a pool staking. They're both different ways that you can do this, and that's one way. So the word staking has also been used for liquidity pooling, right? People use that word. So staking is a word which is used very like interchangeably between different activities. But when you provide liquidity to a pool, like Uniswap, for instance, right? You're providing liquidity. You deposit 2 different tokens, and then people can trade. Like it's automated market making. So people can trade with that pool, right? That's another activity. Staking has also been used, right, in a weird way. I don't understand. It's just been used online for kind of lending purposes as well, right? So they use the word staking, but it's for lending with interest, right? And they call that staking activity as well. So when we're talking about staking, we're talking about the first one, where you are involved in validating transactions on a proof of stake consensus. And in that, again, it all depends on the blockchain and the tokens, right? That are being used. So for instance, if it's something like Ethereum or if it's Solana or these types of things, right, where the token itself is okay, then it just depends on the from a Sharia perspective, staking can be fine. There's 2 ways you can look at it. One is that it's like a ju'ala contract, right? In Sharia, we have a contract called ju'ala, which is like a reward contract. So it's like the protocol is saying whoever verifies will earn this fee. Now, if you do pool staking, where we all come together and we delegate a validator node to go and do all the software running and staking everything on our behalf, then we split the rewards, right? If the reward is being split between the participants and the node, the validator, that can be like a musharaka type contract or like a service-based partnership, right? What we call in Arabic shirkatul abdan, right? It's like a shirkatul abdan or shirkatul a'mal, rather shirkatul a'mal, right? Where we're putting all services together. We're giving the stake and they are doing the software running. And the ju'ala is the kind of this award is the share. This is how we're all benefiting together. But sometimes in some pools, the validator node asks for a fixed fee, or they take a fixed fee, right? There's fees that you have to pay. Then a wakala, like that's like an agency agreement, right? Where you appoint them as your agent, you give them a fee, they do some work, and then you get the reward and yield. So from a Sharia perspective, there is possibility for staking to be okay if it fulfills these kinds of criteria. But of course, you have to first make sure what we discussed earlier, those 3 points, the blockchain, the utility, and the token type are all okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for a clear answer. And you also, do you provide such services in Facet?
Yeah, so Facet will be launching staking services as well.
Great. And we can say that the tokens that are halal in terms of your principles that you mentioned, and the staking also is halal from such kind of approach, as I understand. Yeah, great. And I want to also talk about a bit about this asset-backed tokens, or namely real-world asset tokenization. It's also a popular term, popular approach at the moment. Many institutions are now trying to tokenize their assets, their physical assets, and sell these tokens, these real asset-backed tokens, in the digital world. What do you think about this? And what would be in the future? Should or would everything be tokenized in the future, or is it a threat or an opportunity for the mankind? What do you think about this real asset tokenization?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I once heard the CEO of Facet, right, Mohammed Rafi. He said something which really hit me and inspired me, and just like it's one of those quotes that will probably stay with you forever, right? And the way he described this, he said that digital assets and tokenization for the Western world is a luxury, right? Because they have securitization, securities, and many ways to invest. So tokenization and digital assets will be a luxury for the Western world, but for the emerging markets, right, it's a necessity, right? For
Yes.
emerging markets, this is a necessity. For developed markets, this is a luxury, right? Now let's try and unpack and understand that, because in the developed world, you have many opportunities to invest. You have an Apple phone, you can own Apple stock and Apple shares. I can invest in Apple from my phone, right? I can just go on a trading app, I can buy Apple shares. But somebody maybe in emerging markets like Pakistan, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and these countries where they may be using an Apple phone, they can't buy Apple stock.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
so
of
they use
regulation.
services.
Yeah.
Right? But they can't benefit from the upside of what the services that they're using and the products that they're using, right? So now, why is that the case? Why is there this disparity in the world? So tokenization and digital assets will allow fractional ownership, borderless fractional ownership. This is the beauty of this technology, where people who are losing their wealth in real terms because of inflation, so in some parts of the world, inflation is really high. They are losing the value of their money, every couple of months, gone, wiped out, right? So for them to be able to save their wealth and have access to reliable investments through tokenization will change the state of that market completely, right? So it's about, that's why I see this real genuine benefit for people, and we have to understand that as Muslims as well, and just ordinary people, right, and humans. How can we benefit everybody, right? It's everybody wins. It's a win-win. It's not like only the emerging market wins. You're providing more liquidity. You're providing more. There's cost efficiency there. You're providing more transactions, more efficiency, transparency. Everybody benefits here. So it's a win-win.
So interesting approach. I haven't realized it before, and the looks rent emerging market developing and emerging markets very different approach. I agree with you, by the way, and it's an opportunity I think for Muslim countries and for Islamic banks and Islamic finance institutions. We are also here in Turkey trying to make such projects like fractional art investing, or fractional real estate investing, and the tokenization helps us to access all the market in the world. It can have also some threats, I think, but it's mainly I think helpful as well. What's your approach to Islamic financial institutions? I haven't seen so much institutions that are looking positive to digital assets. why are doing Islamic banks or Islamic other institutions this? They are not approaching in a good way to digital assets. Even there are a lot of opportunities, as you mentioned here, and there are a lot of opportunities in emerging markets. But mainly, yeah, we have talked a bit about it, but it's kind of a Sharia board issue. But there are also visionary and innovative CEOs of Islamic banks and Islamic financial institutions, but they are far away from digital assets and the crypto assets. Why are they so far away of it? What do you think?
I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons why. Firstly, many of them perhaps don't even have a need, right? It's just a luxury for them, right? That they've got so much going on right now. Business is good, right? Is
Yeah,
there then for them any impetus or reason to go into digital assets or explore, right? It really requires for them to be innovative or wanting to try something different or create a new product that benefits. But if in their country people everybody's benefiting and the customers and clients are all happy with the services, that's their primary stakeholder, right? And if they're happy, then there's very little reason for them to look further. Then there's also the issue of uh, I think crypto for some part has been like it's been portrayed negatively as well, right? Globally, this negative connotations to crypto. It's been used as a casino. We see these things about hacks and frauds and all these things, right? And financing, wrong financing, and being used in a problematic way. What we need to do is, and this is one of the things at Facet we're trying to do is, we say, look, let's look at what good lies in crypto, right? Yet let's showcase crypto for good, that crypto really has benefit, right? Or digital assets has benefits, and these are the benefits. If we can demonstrate to the world the benefits and have a blueprint and show them, look, this is how we've done this, it's a proof of concept, here it is, right? Then any person who wants to benefit from the upside in this opportunity will take part. So I think the case has to be made, right, to many people, because they haven't seen this. Where many people out there, when they see crypto, all they see is people losing money or simply trading and selling, and but who's actually looking at the technology and trying to
yeah,
create real solutions for people, from like token, as you mentioned right now, that you're token fractional ownership through tokenization of real
yeah,
estate or art. Now everyone, before you couldn't own a piece of art is $500,000 perhaps, right? But now you
yeah,
can create fractional ownership, and somebody can have their wealth stored and their savings as shares of a painting, right? Now that'll
yeah,
benefit. So this is a real use case. Or there's a huge building, for example, in Dubai, yeah, that you have one of these very multi-million dollar properties. Now you
yeah,
can create a fractional ownership, and somebody sitting in Turkey or somewhere else can buy into that. That's
yeah,
really beneficial for them. You've just diversified their portfolio for them and given them a share of wealth. So these are the powerful use cases we have to demonstrate and show the world that there is this potential in this technology. And what's happening at an amateur level or novice level of trading, we can't issue a ruling or overlook the entire space based on one activity. We have to look at the depth of the matter. What is the actual benefit and the underlying essence of something?
yeah. Great. Thank you for your answer. Also, but we have left 10 minutes. Mr. Faraz has another lecture. Actually, I have questions, but if you have questions from the audience, I can ask to Mr. Faraz, and you can easily write your questions. We have to finish in 10 minutes by asking your questions. I have also other questions about what do you think about this new decentralized finance, the Islamic finance compliant DeFi projects. Of course, you know them. There are some Islamic coin and Merhaba DeFi, Takadao, and some kind of other startups, and some of them failed in the past, but some of them are now developing. What do you think of such projects? Do you think these are innovative, or do they just replicate the existing one?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. To be honest, I've not gone through each one thoroughly, right? So I can't say with any certainty on what they're actually doing right now. I'm not too aware. But for example, Marhaba DeFi, I know some of the gentlemen and some of the team that's there, and they're good people. They're trying really hard to develop and innovate. Even Takadao, I've had one or two conversations. I've just seen some of this stuff. So people are trying. I mean, it's good that anyone and everyone are trying to innovate and push, and we need ideation. Or just the idea is valuable. It might not be successful, but it's courageous for anybody to come up with a genuine idea. They can present it, they can make a business case for it, and they can show how it has benefit. That in and of itself is admirable, right? Whether they can go and execute, that's the real work. Execution, everyone can make an idea, but executing is the real work. So at least people are creating ideas. We need more ideation, conceptualization, innovation. We need to dream, right? We need to dream and be visionaries. This is one of the things that's missing. Like entrepreneurship comes from a vision and a dream. Like you have a vision, a dream. You want to achieve something. You see something that other people don't see, and that drives you. And so it's very nice and heartwarming to see people coming forward with different ideas from different parts of the world. And if they really have something which adds value to people's lives, people will benefit from it. This is the kind of like basic. If you have something that adds value to people's lives and benefits, your product will win. You'll have customers, right? Apple, Amazon, and these companies, why are they successful? Is because they benefit the average person in the street. They actually give them some benefit, right? We have common sense, right? Everybody has common sense. We simply just want to benefit. So if we can, and that's what Islam is all about, right? Khairun nas may yanfa'un nas, right? It's just about benefiting people. So if we can create products and services which truly benefit, wherever they come from, whoever does them, they're welcome, and they will be successful sooner or later because they have something of value to give to people.
Yeah, you're right. So I just dreamed about an Web3 launchpad, an Islamic launchpad. Maybe it would be beneficial if you can provide as facet. Maybe it would be good. It would be great to create a product with you.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, inshallah. There's a question from the audience, and Mustafa Raza Muqaddam is asking if the blockchain network, for example, Ripple or Ethereum, allows both halal transactions as well as haram transactions, such as alcohol, then is it permissible, Sharia compliant, to buy and sell that token?
It's a good question. I mean, you can't know. So, for example, if you're talking about certain types of tokens and the transaction that's being recorded, you have no visibility of what's actually being traded. All you're doing is supporting the movement of the payment, but you don't know what's being traded, and therefore you can't be responsible. As long as a blockchain is not specifically in its kind of brief and description, it doesn't say that, oh, it's white paper that this supports and is made for this particular industry, you're okay. That you can't be held responsible for that. That's beyond your control and visibility.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I have also one last question. I want to learn your approach on CBDCs. The central banks' digital currencies. As we know that the central bank infrastructure is an interest-based infrastructure, and it's not fully compliant with Sharia. So and some CBDCs have restricting interest in the money. So it can be a challenging issue for Muslims in every country, maybe. Even if you don't want to get interest, the money includes interest. So how can we, of course, maybe we cannot change the infrastructure in every country of central banks, but in terms of using CBDCs in the future, how can be these CBDCs Sharia compliant?
Yeah, it's a big concern. There's been many thought leaders, economists, enthusiasts who've voiced their concerns and worries with regards to CBDCs, whether that's wholesale or retail CBDCs, right? The concern has always been that the power of this technology that it'll give to central banks, meaning that when money is programmable, right? Like, how much control does that take away from a person's sovereignty and the person's agency? This is a debate that's been going on. Is it too much power and too much control where they can simply switch off your money tomorrow if they wanted to, right? Is that possible? And so these are debates that have been ongoing. And even in the UK, there's been consultation papers. The UK government has issued some papers and have released some documents as well. So it's a very interesting discussion that's ongoing, and everybody's looking at it from different angles. One is a riba angle of fiat money, which is definitely, that's a big concern. We know the difference between fiat and the money, the way Sharia sees money, right? And money shouldn't be inflationary by design, and money shouldn't be created by lending on riba basis. And so that's one issue and one concern. But then there's also a concern on the implementation of CBDCs, the privacy matter, control. What does it mean for people? There's many question marks that have been raised, and I think it's going to be a long debate. I don't think it's going to be settled anytime soon. Might be a trial. It might be just testing of it. It might be something which is just purely wholesale, which is a central bank, between the central bank and private banks initially to start with, before it's rolled out in the retail space, right? To test it. That might be a more controlled environment to test CBDCs, right? Between these institutions you could say in like a sandbox or in a controlled environment, and then you roll it out. But as I said, there's just so many different debates right now, and there's many people who've raised concerns on. I mean, I remember watching once a discussion. Perhaps might have been the Bank of England or the committee or something along those lines, or a paper that I read, that people were asking, like, what's the real value add? What benefit does CBDC give right now on the e-money and digital money that we're using? What's the difference, right? It might just give more power, but beyond just the day-to-day, is there any real added benefit or value? So that's what people are raising as a question as well, which I haven't seen a good answer, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe we can see it after the implementation and discuss it about after the implementation. It's an ongoing debate. Thank you so much, Mufti Faraz Adam, for joining us or for joining our discussion on digital assets and tokenization. I'm very thankful for your answers, and it was a very beneficial discussion. But I have many questions remain, so maybe we can do it again, inshallah. Maybe if you come to Istanbul, we can host you in our institution, and we can make a physical discussion on such topics. And if you have some questions, of course, you can reach us or reach to Mr. Faraz. And Mr. Faraz has also Islamic fintech books and analysis and research papers you can easily access from internet. Thank you so much again.
No, you're most welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you, and I'm really humbled by your invitation and the work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.